Well, I have to apologize for being late. The reason I'm late is that I completely forgot. No real excuses. Last night here was Valentine's Day, so my wife and I went out for a very nice dinner. And somehow in my mind, I thought that was Friday. Must be getting old. So we were having a pleasant morning and, breakfast. And I was, in fact, I started doing some Farsi learning and Persian, as I want to call it now. And I got a phone call saying, "Where are you?" And of course, I wasn't at my Steve's language workout. So I apologize to those of you who are there. No excuse, but except that I just got the days confused and I'd forgotten all about the fact that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm here for my language workouts. And what I had thought about, because I think ahead of these things of what I want to talk about, and I wanted to talk about, using your online language tutor with reference to what I'm doing in Farsi. I have, as you know, I am an input-based learner. I think that, LingQ is designed around making input-based learning, that is learning from audio and text content, learning from listening and reading, making it as efficient, as comfortable, as easy to do, as effective as possible. But the main thrust of it is input. And I typically don't spend a lot of time talking, certainly not in the initial stages. Of course, I look forward to when I will have the opportunity to talk a lot. But as I'm sort of climbing up the steep cliff, which is where I am in Arabic and Persian right now, then my main activities are listening and reading, some reviewing of words. However, I have started doing more, interacting with tutors. And a major, sort of one of the limitations of speaking with a tutor, historically, at least in my perception, has been that the range of vocabulary that you can cover is limited. You're using the words that you can use. You're struggling to understand, so that the sort of language density of the sort of online interaction with the tutor at the early stages is not very high. It's not very language intense, as I would call it. Whereas if I am listening or reading, I'm getting more and more words, repeated exposure to words that I've met before, meeting new words, and so forth. So I spend most of my time listening and reading. In fact, most of my time listening, because I can do that in the car. I can do that while I'm working out in the gym. I can do it while I'm doing the dishes and so forth. Then I go back to the reading to get a sense of, to understand some of the areas that I continue to have trouble understanding. However, I am using the tutor more, and I want to show you how this can be done as a source of input. Because when I speak to my tutors, I'm trying to say certain things, and I say them correctly, or I don't say them correctly, or I can't remember the words, or it's a new word, and the tutor tells me the word. And of course, if she tells me the word and I only hear it, it doesn't even register. I have no sense of what that word is. But then if I get that in writing, then of course I have a better chance of beginning to learn that word or that phrase. And so in selecting tutors at LingQ, I select those tutors who give me a good report. Some tutors give you 2-3 lines, some tutors give you none. And I will show you here, when I go to share the screen, the kinds of reports that I'm getting from my Farsi tutors. I have 2 Farsi tutors. And they're fairly extensive, like 10, 15, 20 lines, and of words and phrases that I tried to use or that I didn't know the word for. And they provide a recording. So therefore, this then is imported as content. At LingQ, once you get your tutor report, there's a button there, click. It's imported in the sort of conversation reports course in LingQ. And so you can go back to them over and over again. And when you do that, you remember those conversations that you had. So let me share the screen and I'll show you how that works and how I find that very effective, because the words that come up in your conversation, first of all, you tend to have the same conversation, go over some of the same ground. You tend to make the same mistakes. So to some extent, the same words come up often, but every time there's new words introduced. And as I say, you're sharing something that's fairly high resonance because it's things that you were trying to say. So let me show you that. All right, so we'll go over here, start screen share. Presumably now you're able to see my lessons at LingQ. One thing I should show you, because I think it is kind of interesting, is just to put, and I should do this with Arabic as well, just to put my Persian learning experience into context. So there's sort of the activity over the last 7 days. So because I'm going, you know, Persian, Arabic, Persian, so that the daily activity is, you know, bunched up 3 days on, 3 days off. Although there is an accumulation here of known words, or if I look at, you know, listening activity, now there again, it's, you know, bunched up, but it's constantly accumulating. But if I go to look at all time, i.e. when I started, here again, you can see that, you know, I started sometime around actually maybe July, started looking at Farsi, started listening to it, not very much. Spent a certain amount of time with my Farsi or Persian. Then in preparation for my trip to Morocco, I left it entirely and focused on Arabic. Then after leaving Morocco, it's basically since leaving Morocco that I have put the greatest amount of effort into my Persian learning. It's, you know, any of these activities, listening, reading, links created, words read, they're all going to show the same. But it's useful, I think, to have the statistic, because often we forget, when did we start? When did we spend time on the language? When did we stop studying the language? Now, if I then go to my lessons, and in fact, let's go to here. And if I look at my conversation reports, I have had 19 conversations in Persian. So this is another good thing. And, you know, when we didn't have Farsi or Persian tutors at LingQ, I went to italki. But even if you do it at italki, if they send me via Skype or via email a text of our discussion and their recording of what was in the report, then I can import it into LingQ. So now this 19 number, now let's open this up. Open. So it's starting in August 20th. Now I had some difficulty importing these, so this 3 August 20 is only this is the same discussion. August 21st, August 30th, 2 of those, 3 of those came in. I had a problem. I can't remember what it was. 4 of them. Those are all the same. And then we start into September 6th, 7th, 19th, 13th. Rana was my first tutor. She's a LingQ tutor. And then I also found another tutor, Nazi, who, oh, it's interesting too. Rana is married to a Pole and lives in Poland, Lahistan as it's called in Persian. And Nazi lives in Iran, in Tehran. One of the things that's very important, I find with tutors, so let's talk a little bit about what makes a good tutor. Number one, you have to have someone with good Skype connections or Google Hangouts or whatever you're using. When I was doing Greek, what was a bit discouraging is that it seemed that every tutor I found in Greece had a terrible Skype connection. If the Skype connection isn't good, I tend to discontinue. Surprisingly, Nazi in Tehran has excellent connectability, excellent sound and picture, and the same is true with Rana. So now let's give you an example. But first of all, I want to show you that you have all of these. That is a record of, and I go back to them and I review them many, many times. And also I add them to playlists. So I have them on a playlist so that I can listen to them. The most recent ones here, I haven't yet added, but I can. That adds it, add the playlist, add the playlist. Okay, now let's have a look at what one of these looks like. So if we open this one here with Nazi, Let me just let it come open here. Now, the first thing is that it comes with sound.
لطفاً کمی منتظر باشید.
And it's 6.5 minutes. 6.5 minutes of Nazi recording phrases, words that I had difficulty with. And typically these are, I guess, of two types. One is going to be, you know, hello, how are you, you know, which we always start with. So there's a number of them. We have different ways of asking people, you know, che habar, you know, any new, what's new? Habar nist, no, nothing new. Or, and then I've forgotten, hasonist, or nothing special. So you learn different ways of greeting. And then we'll get into talking about what we like to eat, or political situation in Central Asia, or any number of things. So very often these are going to be words that are of interest to me. And so, and very often they'll show up time and time again because I keep on making the same mistakes. But I find that input created through these conversations is tremendously is excellent. I'm interested in it. I remember trying to use those words. These are words that I want to use. I'll go away and listen to it on my playlist, on my you know, iPod Touch, or on my iPhone. Still miss certain things. Go back here, review it again. You know, I can you know, as I say, go from page to page and review. You know, I know. You see here again, I look at it right away out of context. I don't know what it is. Unfortunately, text-to-speech doesn't work for Persian. Zahanom. I've forgotten what that is. Zahanom. Yeah, I think I said Bad man shoyod bedunam shoyod I don't know, bedavan zahom ro amad, you know, confuses me. I must say, I don't know, but it's my mind. It's there. I'll eventually get to it. You'll see how much difficulty I still have in reading. I saw a Twitter or a tweet from someone saying they've now learned the Arab alphabet, and here, you know, they couldn't make any sense out of this writing, and now they can. In my experience, it's a long road. Bad man shoyad must. Bad man shoyad. Mind you, this is a phrase that's taken a little bit out of context. Betavonam zamon ro omod konam. I really don't know what that means. Okay, learn. Okay, yod begirand. Now yod begirand I know, and so yod begiri, yod begirid. You learn. He learns. Okay. And at this point, I might just say, you know what? I know that. I've seen it. I struggle with it a bit, but let's remove it because it's so, you know, I have so many yellow words. I like to reduce them. I can always go back and save them again. Lotfan, hope. That's when I know. Lotfan, please. And here is Bepor seed. Bepor seed, I think means to be afraid, but I'm not 100% sure. Age shomo sool. Answer. Bepor sad man jolob midaham. I will give you the answer. Age shomo sol. If you ask me something, I'll give you the answer. Something like that. Ask. All right. So I'm trying to show you that we often take stabs at words. The whole process of learning a word, and especially in a writing system that's different, we're anxious to try to come up with something. And if we get a large enough context, and if we're listening to it at the same time, we kind of get it. But then once it's taken in isolation again, it's much more difficult. Kalamot is words. That one, no question, I know that one. So here I might just go, bingo, I know it. Switch. Okay, I get it. All right. Switch, flip card, switch. Okay, switch. I think I can go to 3 on that one. This is Boshid. You must. Okay, I'm pretty good at that one. I'll move it to a 3. Barmi depends a little. Barmi. So here I would say, okay, it's not carbohydrate. I don't think it depends. I don't think it's a little. So it must be go. Biravam, barmi. We'll see what happens. Go. All right. I'm not quite sure what tense this is, how it fits in. Barmi doram, it says in the attached phrase. That's fine. I'll work my way towards it. I might move it to a 2 here because I kind of half got it. So here we go. Geography. All right. Geography. I think I might just give myself that one. Gazorash. Maybe that's a report, in which case it would be her or his report. We'll give that a try and not be wrong. What do you know? But here, the ash at the end means it's his or her report. So I might just put that in there to help the next person who comes along. Next. Siosat. At any rate, it's politics. Let's see what the... So that's fine. I move that to a 3 because I'm not totally sure how that one gets pronounced. Ruzmara. I mean, Ruz is day, so it's got to be every day. Every day. Give that a 2. We're nearing. I may as well go through these just to show you what I struggle with when I do these. Barmigardad means to come back. Barmigardad, come back. All right, that one should be good. I give it to myself. Okay, I'm out of there. But the point is, here's this text with a lot of words that are important to me. I'll go over it many times. I can go back to ones I did months ago. I listened to it, and I look forward to my next session, where I probably will make some of the same mistakes again. But I just want to share with you how I use my tutor reports as a form of content. So with that, again, I apologize for being late this morning. And let's now stop sharing and stop. And I'd be very interested if there are any questions. And we may already have some. Okay, so a couple of questions here. How many hours a day should I spend with listening? You know, I have no set amount of time. I try to get in as much as I can. Most of my listening is while I am doing other things. So, you know, I clean up. I actually make breakfast. So we might make some porridge. Typically, we start with some fruit, some porridge, coffee, toast. We have a fairly big breakfast. I make the breakfast. I clean up after breakfast. All of that is listening time. I like to, once a day, once every 2 days, do some exercise. So I listen when I do that. Now I've started in the morning. I spend 3-4 minutes doing different kinds of planks. And so I'll have the sound going while I'm doing those. If I drive anywhere or if I go anywhere on my bicycle, I'll listen. So typically I will get in half an hour to an hour a day. And whatever I listen to, if I don't understand it all, I want to be able to get to that text and review it again. Not in the hope that I'll nail everything down, but it's just this gradual process of exposing the brain to comprehensible content, comprehensible input in listening and reading, that eventually these things are going to settle in. And they do, because there's no question that I have a much better understanding of Persian now than I had when I started. So the proof is that you are acquiring more and more of the language. It doesn't matter how much you forget. You have to always remind yourself of what you have already achieved. But I would say that 45 minutes to an hour a day, it should be possible to fit that amount of listening time into your day. That would be my advice. Here, should I wait until 5K words to speak like you did in Czech, or do you think I should start speaking now because I'm excited? If you're excited, start speaking. Enthusiasm, as I say, whenever you do something that you want to do, like if you are curious about a point of grammar and you look it up, that's more likely to stick than if a teacher kind of pushes some grammar explanation at you. If you are motivated to speak, you want to speak. What I did find, if I could say without hesitation, that if I had had the mini stories in Czech, I would have started speaking much earlier. You need to have some kind of basic material with a lot of repetition where you listen often and you're building up some phrases and some basic, and particularly because the mini stories focus on the most common verbs, and you need verbs. You'll need, I put, take, go, forget, decided, think, plan. All these verbs, you need them to have a conversation. So you have the mini stories in Czech if you're so inclined at LingQ. And if you're motivated, you're excited, as you say, I would definitely start speaking earlier. With Czech, I just didn't have enough content that got any momentum going. And so even when I started speaking after 6 months, which I thought was very early compared to my experience with Russian, I really, really struggled. Whereas in Farsi and Arabic, my first session in August with Rana at that time, I was able to say some things. I'd been at Farsi for a few weeks. So the mini stories with the repetitive listening prepares you for speaking early. And I also think that compared to when I was doing Czech, LingQ is better than it was then. So the whole efficiency of that learning environment makes it possible to start speaking earlier. But I definitely would make sure that the tutor has good Skype connections, etc., but also sends you a good report with the things that you struggle to say. No English, just the target language, and an audio file, a recording of 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes of those notes. Okay, now how long can you hold a plank? Well, the longest I have held, because we got out of this planking thing watching a video on YouTube, and this gal who was doing it, she had us doing 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So we went up to 2.5 minutes and then worked our way back down again. Then someone said, you shouldn't overdo the planking, it can be bad for your back. So what I do now is, first thing in the morning, I do a 2-minute plank. Then I do basically 45 seconds on each side, like side planks. And then I do another minute, sort of like climbers, where I'm planking, push-up style, not on my elbows, because the other plank is on the elbows. And here I lift my knee up to my arm. So the answer is right now, I don't know how long I could hold a plank for. I could probably go 3 minutes, but I'll just do 2 minutes. So there you have it, not related to language learning. But so if I do that in the morning, that's 4 minutes, perhaps longer with the, time between the different planks. 5 minutes. So there's 5 minutes. If I say you got to go 45 minutes, There's 5 minutes of listening. I have tried planking while reading a text, but it's a little difficult to be planking and then you come across a word you don't know and you would really like to kind of put your cursor on that word or your stylus to see what it means. And so in the end, I stopped doing that. So I just listened. Okay, there we have it. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right, I think that's it. Again, I apologize for being late. I just simply forgot that today was, for whatever reason, I thought today was Saturday, and these things happen. Maybe it's my age. Okay, thank you for listening. I look forward to your comments. And I do like to answer any comments I get on YouTube. For those of you who see this video later, that I do try to answer, and I appreciate any comments or questions that, and in any language. I had the other day some questions in Czech and in Japanese. So please let me know, and we'll look forward to the next one. I promised, well, I shouldn't promise, but I'll try to be there as scheduled on Monday. Bye for now.